Okay, we're live. Feels like your camera is a bit blur.
I think so. Everywhere is somehow.
It feels so though. Yeah, so the market is amazing. This market today.
It depends on your definition of amazing, because the market is just something else, to be honest.
But
It's
we said something yesterday. There was something we were seeing yesterday morning where I said it's like a pattern. In the morning, the market is green. For the past 5 days.
yeah.
In the morning, it's been green over 103K, 104, as if it's going up to 107. In the evening, it starts going down to 100K, 101. And we were saying that
Yes.
yesterday morning, and the same thing happened again in the evening, yesterday evening. Towards evening, it started going back to 100K, 101. Eventually, it got to 99K towards midnight. And while we were sleeping, while everyone was asleep, it started to get to almost 96K. So this is like a very, very clear pattern, which I'm sure people that take note of things happening in the market, they should have leveraged on this to make some money and make some profits, because it's been consistent for at least 5 days. All through this week, it's the same thing that's been happening till Bitcoin has finally gone to like 96K. Even if it still looks like it might still go a bit lower, but that will be discussed when we look at the charts. So for those joining, we do this every morning. Please, irrespective of where you're joining from, feel free to share the link, leave a follow or subscribe or like, depending on where you're joining from. Then also you can leave your questions or comments. We'll be looking at the Bitcoin chart towards the end and charts of some other calls that we dropped yesterday that have done well, and also some that might be positioning for. So if you're joining us now, feel free to leave comments of some things you want us to look into. So briefly, let me just share my screen. Let's look at what the news is saying this morning. I'm sure you can see my screen now, yeah? You can see my screen, right?
It's loading up, or nothing is up yet. It's just blank, so your screen is blank.
Can you see it now? From my end, it's visible. Can you see it now?
No. It's blank. So something is actually wrong with SteamYard today. So just the screen is just blank.
Okay. Till now, because from my end, it's actually okay. Let me just stop the screen share and share it again briefly.
Yeah, but while you're attempting it, we've seen the news come out from about XRP. The last time we spoke about XRP having new $500 million investment. Today we're hearing that.
Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen now?
It's still blank. It's not showing up anywhere. So we're getting the news of about 140 million XRP tokens has left exchanges, which is around $300 million leaving exchanges. And now, whenever we get news like this, tokens leaving exchanges, it only means one thing. These tokens are being taken to cold storage, right?
Obviously.
So that means maybe in a very short period of time, because I don't think these things are priced in already in terms of the price of XRP. So we might get a situation where maybe once the market recovers, yes, I can see your screen now. Once the market recovers, we can start seeing XRP move. Then most people might not understand why XRP is moving, right? But this is these news that has already gone out when the market was maybe terrible. Over time, maybe in a couple of days, in a couple of weeks, they start getting pricing into the price of XRP. We start seeing XRP wrong. So that's actually a good news.
But I don't know why, from my own standpoint, I don't know why people are scared. Maybe futures traders might be scared, but generally speaking, I don't really know why people are scared that BTC is correcting. Because when you look at it, it's actually a good thing that Bitcoin is correcting. On Monday or sometime last week, we were saying, I specifically was saying that Bitcoin market dominance was still at 60%. And it would be nice for it to drop below 60% towards 55%, maybe if possible, 50%. That would be amazing. This morning, Bitcoin dominance is at 57%, which is good news. Like, it's really, really good. It shows that Bitcoin's control of the market is reducing. The FDV, the space that Bitcoin alone is occupying in the market, is reducing. And it shows that other altcoins too are also appreciating in value. So there's a high possibility that a time would come in this crypto space where Bitcoin market dominance might be 15% or 18%. Then other altcoins, their market dominance will take up 80 something percent. You get, which is something that is good. It shows growth in the ecosystem. It shows that we're making progress. It shows that other projects are doing well. You get, and other projects also have like a solid controlling stake. And over time, other projects would depeg from Bitcoin price action, where because of Bitcoin is dumping, doesn't mean that every other thing should be dumping. You understand? Because of BTC is going down. Either it's because of we would have some tokenized assets, you get, that their prices will not be pegged or tied to what is happening with BTC, and that would also invariably help altcoins too to gradually depeg from BTC. However it plays out, but it's worth noting that a time would come in this market where Bitcoin price action would not be controlling what is happening generally in the market. So for someone like me, when I'm seeing Bitcoin dominance drop, it's an exciting thing, rather than when I'm seeing Bitcoin dominance catapult, like it's going higher, 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 higher. That's not something true crypto natives really want to see, and people that understand what this ecosystem is all about, that's not what they want to see. So
Yeah, I agree. The thing with leverage traders is most people they forget and they use like very high leverages, to make mad money. So when market is dumping like this, most or some leverage traders they trade more on very volatile assets like maybe some crypto memes and with high
yeah,
leverage, so they make a shitload of money. So when market turn red continuously, Bitcoin did not just have one big dump. Bitcoin is just dumping stage by stage, little by little.
gradually.
Yeah, and that is
Yeah,
like the most annoying type of dump, because if you're in a trade in an altcoin and Bitcoin dumps, let's say 1% or 2%, that alt might now dump like 10% or 15%. And maybe you're hoping, okay, I've lost money, but this is a good price to rebuy this altcoin now, because this level it is very attractive. You now enter with emotion, with higher leverage or with higher money to make back the money
yeah.
you've lost and to also make some gain. And maybe the token starts appreciating well, but it hasn't reached your TP or the money you've lost in the previous trade. And then Bitcoin goes ahead and dumps again. So I think the news now is like in the last 24 hours, I think more than $500 million was liquidated from longs. That's crazy
That's
money you get.
that's crazy, but that's not that bad when we think of
Yeah,
some other liquidations we've
yeah,
seen.
but
That's
don't
fair.
forget this is 24 hours. Like yesterday, we had more than another 600 million. So it's like every day consecutively for like maybe the last 4 or 5 days, you're getting more than half. Is it half a billion dollars being liquidated from the market? Like every single day for the last 3 to 4 days. That's a lot of
Yeah,
money if you look at it. Most of the times we get this news when Bitcoin has like one of those massive dumps and we get maybe $2 billion liquidation, right? People are screaming. When you're getting like half a billion dollar liquidation daily for like 3 or 4 days, leverage traders will just get tired. To be honest,
but
you get, and
but
people will not start.
the thing now is this. I think why we tend to see so much liquidation in crypto trading is because the barrier to entry for crypto trading is very, very low. We've said this severally, it's really, really low. So some persons, even without experience, they just jump in and they are treating trading like gambling. You get, so they are being very emotional and less logical. Okay, and even the best of traders when they notice that they've had consistent losses and they go back and review those losses, they'll find out that at some point they became emotional and they were no longer logical. They were just expecting a bounce. So it's Bitcoin now, it's bull markets now. You understand? It should just bounce. It has dumped too much. But they are not going to look at the charts. How do you mean it has dumped too much? Is it at a current support, or is the support still further away? Okay, which is why sometimes, like what we're doing on this podcast every morning, it's really, really necessary, because yesterday we were saying it still that BTC is still bearish. And even the calls we drop, we always say that as long as BTC gradually corrects, goes down to the support, there's no issue. But if it does like a huge dump to that 96K, 97K, worst case 92K, then there'll be serious problem. Altcoins would crash aggressively. But if it's like a slow, gradual, steady dump, there's no problem. Most altcoins will just maybe retrace a bit and reprice, which is what we have actually seen. Yeah, like if we look at some that we traded, like Uniswap, you find that Uniswap is still struggling, trying to get back above $8, but it's still because BTC is still going down a little. So that's what is making it hold up its position around 7.5, 7.6. You get the likes of LTC. LTC is still holding up 90 something dollars, despite the fact that BTC is now back to 90 something. It's still holding that range. If you look at Zcash, that has broken out, that has been on an uptrend, Zcash is still maintaining that momentum. If BTC corrects, which is something we've said that is an opportunity for traders, if BTC dumps down, Zcash just comes maybe back to our entry. And once BTC tries to like hold that position for an hour or two, Zcash tries to start pumping again. So people that understand the market, someone like me now, I've not really bothered trading BTC. Yeah, I also said that yesterday. I've not bothered trading so many alts. I've been cherry picking my trades because I do know that BTC is bearish. It's sitting at support. That's 101K. In fact, that's 99K. Yesterday night when it was approaching it again, I was like, it has tested this zone like twice within the last 30 days. It has tapped here about 2 times in the last 30 days. And there's a very high chance that the third time, being that yesterday night, it was going to break and most likely go to 96 and maybe still lower, because where we have the actual support, we'll look at the charts where we have the actual support before we round up. So I was like, this thing might not hold. You get, so nothing would make me then. There are some new longs I even wanted to open yesterday night, but I was like, nah, this Bitcoin might just make some of these altcoins just weak down briefly and go back up. I know that's the most painful thing, where maybe you get into an alt.
When you're priced out, yes.
Yeah, I was looking at bounce beats. I was like, bounce beat has dumped like 0.08. And I know it should bounce from here. But at the same time, BTC is sitting at a support. If BTC goes to that 96, 97K, it will drag this thing down to hit my stop loss, because my stop loss wouldn't be so far because already at the support. So because of that, I didn't take that trade. And this morning, I looked at it this morning, it could have actually hit my support if I took my stop loss. Rather, it would have hit that my stop loss if I took that trade. So I was like, those are like some things that if you don't look at the chart and you just jump emotionally to go and take a trade, you will most likely end up getting a loss. So let's just briefly look at the news.
Yeah. Before we look at the news, guys, don't forget to like, retweet or share, and follow this account. So what we do every morning is look at the market, what is happening currently in the market, what happened the previous day, what we are looking at to happen. So don't forget, smash the like button, follow, subscribe, invite someone. Is really, really crucial, because we get excited when you see your messages or when we see your suggestions on tokens to look at. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I'm looking at just some top hot news here. You can see Sony Labs, they are pivoting to survival rather than speed. Yeah, so this is basically because they've come up with a strategy of, I think, is it burning tokens, something like that. They came up with that strategy because I saw that news yesterday. Then we're also seeing BTC liquidations. And there's one of the news that I have missed it, that which was what I wanted to highlight, because I actually believe that, okay, I think and that news is relating to privacy. It was here earlier this morning, but I can't see the news again. It was here earlier this morning. Yeah, but that news is relating to privacy, where they are talking about some privacy coins, and next year they are speculating that next year will be the year for privacy coins. Now that's something that I can actually align with. I can very, very well align with that. For some weird reasons, if you notice, we are gradually seeing like a shift in the crypto space, a gradual shift where suddenly we're now talking of privacy, privacy, privacy. Even Iron Bank, one of the projects that we're actually holding as a community, Iron Bank has extended their privacy feature to Sui blockchain. Like currently, they announced it yesterday or day before yesterday. They've extended their privacy feature to Sui blockchain to enable privacy transactions where you can be able to hide, you get certain informations about your transaction on the Sui network. So sooner or later, people will be able to conduct or carry out private transactions on Sui. So you find that every blockchain right now is trying to add a privacy layer or a privacy function for some weird reason. But a few years ago, this was like a huge crime. If you tried this, if you tried
It's
this
crazy
few
how
years
we are
ago,
going in circles.
you
Yes.
understand? Like if you tried this few years ago, you're done for. That your project, like they will attack it, they'll say it's all for crime. You get so many things. But now that is becoming what is bullish. That is becoming what is making investors interested. Now people are now suddenly realizing that the masses don't need to know all transactions. There are certain informations that should be kept private. Suddenly everyone is now accepting that and is now bullish on that and looking forward to projects that are pushing for that. So I think we are at a very crucial moment where we can be able to see the next 10x, 20x, 30x based on this whole privacy stuff. That is what I think. And we have already seen what Zcash has achieved, over 10x. You get all because of what privacy. So now researchers, investors should be looking for the solid, undervalued privacy coins, which for me, I'm still very big on Iron Bank. I'm still very, 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 very big on that Iron Bank. It's still below, I think it's at 16 or 17 million dollars
Is
AUD.
he Iron Bank or Iron Fish?
That's an iron fish, iron fish, but the ticker is
Uh,
iron. Let me share
yeah.
my screen. The ticker is iron. Let me just share my screen briefly. I think it's iron fish. You can see
Yeah,
my screen now, right?
it's loading up. Yeah, I can see it. It's quite interesting that, like you said, a few years back, the moment you get to hear about these tokens, let's say maybe Monero or protocols like I've forgotten the name of this protocol again that people were using to mask Ethereum transactions. Yeah,
Tornado
yeah,
Cash.
Tornado Cash, yes, and a few other coin mixers. It was like illegal. We remember when is it US or the UK banned Uniswap and the normal Uniswap interface. You couldn't access Uniswap using that particular interface. We saw when there were like outright fight against token mixers, right?
Yes, yes.
Even this recent one that we had an attack on Bybit when the hacker, there was so many talk about how we shouldn't this I forgot the name of the exchange that Bybit was having issues with because the exchange did not agree to release the
Release details,
KYC,
KYC details.
yeah,
Yes.
of the hacker that passed funds through the exchange because they were like this is ours is for privacy, ours is Bybit has already flagged our address before now, so why would we not help them out when
Yeah.
our addresses have showed up that this person transferred money to our address? So after like a few weeks before after that exchange shut down because of regulatory concern, blah blah blah. So if all of a sudden now people are now pivoting to privacy coins,
Privacy.
staying off chain, that means the big boys want privacy. the institutional
Obviously,
investors,
yeah,
the
they want
TradeFi
privacy.
guys, the millionaires, they want, yes, to be able to
They want
move.
privacy. Yeah.
The moment CZ started this conversation of, oh, let's have a DEX platform that has dark pools so that you can take trades and people will not see those trades. And that was where Asta was born, right? You should have
Yeah.
an idea that, okay, we will now start having dark pools and privacy, private transaction coming to most of these things. You get, yes,
Yeah.
the transactions will be public, but you will not know who did it or you will not know how much that was sent. So, yeah,
Yes.
we are seeing private, what's it called, dark pools for PEP dexes. We are now seeing dark pools for prediction markets. It only makes sense with blockchains now start integrating,
And
what's it called, privacy layers. Yes.
yeah, and it's crazy when you think about the fact that the whole idea of BTC from inception was having a public ledger where you can be able to see everything in a very transparent way, and people can query every transaction, trace, track, and everything is just so clear and open for everyone to see. But gradually, we have been able to get to a point now where we're like, okay, we need to hide some things. Yes, you can verify the transaction. Yes, you can see there's this transaction, but we should be able to hide some things. Maybe the address, you won't be able to see the address. You'll be able to see the figure, but some certain things we should be able to hide and keep it anonymous. It's quite crazy how technology can metamorphose from one state to another, but it's interesting. It's really really interesting. I'm just noticing that we've gone past the 20 minutes time frame, so I think we should just share some charts and do a bit of analysis on what the chart is saying. But yeah, someone asked about iron fish. This is the iron fish on my screen. That is it. They just made an announcement, I think 48 hours ago, about extending their privacy feature to the SWI blockchain. Now, mind you, Coinbase also said they acquired the services of Ironfish. I think whether they bought it or they acquired something like that to enable privacy features on Base. This news was announced by and confirmed by the founder of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong. He actually did confirm that news. I think that was 3 weeks ago or last month, something like that. But that deal they did was as far back as late first quarter of this year, I think, or early second quarter, something like that. So keep an eye out, keep an eye on iron fish, pay attention to them. They might have some tricks up their sleeve and you never can tell. So let me share my screen. So for let's briefly look at the charts, and we'll start with the trade we shared live yesterday. Then after which we would switch to BTC charts to do a brief analysis on Bitcoin charts. Then probably we might share one or two trades again and give our take on what to expect from the markets. Hope my screen is visible. Hope my screen is visible now. Hope my screen is visible, please.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so we actually shared this trade yesterday. You can go watch yesterday's live stream. If you're doubting it or if you're not present, you can check it out. We shared this trade yesterday. It was a brief trade analysis we did live. It was live. We did trade analysis here live using the 4 hours chart. And this was a trade I was shared yesterday using 4 hours chart. Now, we did not drop TP1, TP2, TP3. We didn't break down the take profit zones. We just dropped the entry, stop loss, and final TP. That was yesterday. But in our TG later on within the day, in our Telegram community, which the link is in the description if you want to join it, we now shared TP1, TP2, and TP3, and finally TP4, which is this one here. Now, personally, for me, this trade took me out around 5:30 last night because before I went to sleep, I had to set trailing stop loss, and I slept. I woke up this morning and I noticed when I woke up it was already down. Like this morning when I woke up, the trade was down, and it was, I think, around this zone. It had started recovering, but it had come down. I was around 590 something, almost 500, or approximately 500. That's where it was at. So I checked and I noticed that it had taken me out at around 530. That's where it took me out. So it didn't get to the full TP of 544, but it took me out at around 530, which is still very, very good considering where I got in, approximately 576, 476 rather, where I got in. So the profit was still very good. For those that are still in the trade, well, it's not a bad trade. It's trying to get back to where it took me out. It might still hit the TP, full TP. So we always advise trade management. It's very, very important for you to pay attention to trade levels, like really, really, really important. There was a trade I wanted to share, but it has already moved. I got into this trade yesterday. I was hoping on sharing it today. This is on Avalanche. I got into it yesterday, but it has already moved. So it has moved and it has taken me out because I adjusted my TP. So this was the entry, and I think it took me out at around somewhere here because I adjusted my TP. So now it's going back to the entry. It would most likely still hold. Let me just zoom out. It will most likely still hold. If you notice, our long-term trade on AVAX, this one, which is like the long-term trade, you can see where the stop loss is at. And you can see that this particular trade is still respecting this trend line, like this trend line that started all the way from here before this trade AVAX broke out, and the long-term trade entry was here, whereas the short-term one hit TP. For those that tend to manage their trades, which I do advise sometimes, adjusting your SL, manage your trades, you would most likely have been taken out of this long-term trade. For those that don't, that is either it hits TP or stop loss. The trade is yet to hit stop loss yet. But this is it here. You can see it. If you watch our previous videos, you see it's the same trade that has been on since. But this is a fresh one. This is actually a fresh trade, which, like I said, I took it yesterday. Now, you might still want to get back into the trade, and you can see the SL is still below Avalanche lowest XL that we had earlier this month. Avalanche lowest point we had this month. So you might still want to take this trade. Uniswap trade. Let's switch to the Uniswap trade. So this is our Uniswap trade. You can still see this is where the SL is for the Uniswap trade. So for those that might want to do like a re-entry, it's not bad at the zone it's at currently. It's not bad if you want to get back into the trade. For those that managed their trade, when we got into this trade, it went up and hit TP1. For those that managed it, the day we got in, it went up and hit TP1. Then after coming back to the zone, and the zone eventually failed, which I stated it clearly that if BTC goes below 100K, because then BTC was above 100K, I said if it goes below 100K, there's a very high chance that definitely it will go below this our entry zone and gives you another opportunity to get back at lower prices. But for it to hit the SL, that would take like a huge dump from BTC, which I made very, very clear, to take like some very, very huge dump to stress the chart that low and get to the SL. So lastly, let's look at Bitcoin trade. Lastly, BTC price action, by the way, before we call it a day, just briefly. So for this now, we'll have to zoom out just to see what BTC is doing. We just need to zoom out to see what is happening here and where BTC is going to. So if you see this zone, BTC has tested this zone like about once or twice. It was only normal for it to break. If you see this zone, that tested it first time, second time, this was actually the third time. This zone that is broke below 98K. We are touched there because we're on the daily charts. We are touched there the first day, the second day, the third day. It was only normal and natural that yesterday it crashed through that price. And yes, it tried to go back up, but that zone is already weak. So it just continued down. So these are like some things that you want to actually pay attention to, which is what I was saying that last night when I looked at it, I was like, nah, this stuff has touched this zone about 3 times. It will most likely crash below that zone. So at that point, most of your trades, that was also what made me to keep like a tight trailing stop loss for that Zcash trade and some of my other trades. So when you notice things like that in the market, knowing fully whether Bitcoin has a strong effect on how altcoins perform in the market, either when it's aggressively pumping or aggressively dumping. When you see that, you want to go back to your trades, even the ones that you're in profit, and you want to like set like a tight stop loss or trailing stop loss to protect profit, just in case it swings against you. You just want to do that. So if you notice now, Bitcoin has almost flattened out. The worst we can see is it's getting to like 93K, 92, 93K. That's like the very worst that we can see happening. BTC gets into this range, 92, 93K. But would that happen without a bounce? I can't say yet. We're in Friday. And another thing to pay attention to is most times on Fridays, the market tends to dump. Most times on Fridays, if you experience 10 Fridays, at least 7, you find out that the market would always correct in like 7 out of 10. Worst case, if it's too bad, or if it's too good, rather 6, the market would correct. So Fridays, markets don't always pan out to be so good. On Fridays, there's always a correction from BTC. Then whereas Sundays, Mondays, we tend to see pumps from BTC. We tend to see some greens Sundays and Mondays. So traders, and by default, so they are supposed to know these things. So if you're in a trade where you're sitting on a very, very, very tight support, or you're sitting at a zone where it looks like it might fail, you really, really want to start adjusting your SL once it is approaching Friday. It's something that's like a rule of thumb that you should pay attention to. Now, most times when we say these things, you don't need to take it because of where the one's saying it. You can go to the chart and like observe it to see if it's actually playing out that way or not. Yeah, so let's look at the comments before we round up. Let me start from the least comments. It would be really helpful if we can have a tutorial on features for beginners. We have done something like this. We did this, I think, June. I think we did that June this year. We've done that. So someone is saying if you can have a huge amount of capital so that you can maximize. Yes, if you have a huge amount of capital so that you can maximize profit or losses. Okay, I don't understand the question. Okay, someone say feature seems too complex and risky. Can these trades be applicable to spot trading? Okay, I get now. So yes, if you have a huge amount of capital so that you can maximize profits. Yeah, that's true. If you have a huge amount, then you can apply that to spots. Features just helps to like put your small capital on steroid. That's the whole idea of the leverage. So if you have $10 and you take 100x leverage, that would make it seem like you're trading with 10 times 100, which is $1,000. But at the same time, the maximum loss you can take on that is equivalent to a $10 loss. You get, so it's only useful in terms of profits. In terms of loss, you won't necessarily be allowed to lose more than you have, if that makes sense in futures trading, if that makes sense though. But that's what leveraged trading does. And whereas for sports, you can't really max out on your capital for either profit or loss. You can't really, you can't. But for features, if you use that $10 with 100x and that token you're trading does like a 1% move, that 1% move would give you 100% profit because that will be 1% times your leverage, which is 100x. So it would be as if that project did a 100% pump. So your $10 becomes $20. I don't know if you get, but for someone that took that position on spot, that 1% move will never give the person up to $1. profits. You give person like 10 cents profit. So this is like the major difference. But at the same time, if it goes against you by 1% for features with that 100x, you will lose that your entire $10. So I hope that makes sense. And that's like the best explanation you can get when you're trying to compare and contrast them spots and features. As you sweet for features, that's what we kill for features. Yeah. So what about Uniswap trade? Should we hold? For the Uniswap trade, I have been able to take some profit from it and I have gotten back in. So there was something I said on Twitter Spaces that you can do some form of like when someone asks the question of should he close in profit then get back in or what? I said that is depending on him. But personally, I do know that I would get back in at lower prices should it get there, which is something that I've already done. Yes, I've already done that because I've looked at the stop loss. The stop loss is really, really far. And the fact that BTC has already dumped like 96K. So it's looking like something that can hold. That's why I decided to get in again at those lower levels. Again, but for some persons, you might choose to just not take the trade if you're not certain. But what I do know is should BTC hold that position, you should start seeing some gradual bounce from some of those altcoins. So someone is saying it would be really helpful. Okay. Is there any other question? What's the ticker? We've shared the ticker. The ticker is ION. What about Say? Heard they are now on Binance. I think Say is on Binance. Yeah, I think so. How low can we go from today's 97K? The lowest we can get is 92K. That's the lowest we can get to. We can get to 92K. We can't actually get there, but I don't see that happening today. I really don't see that. Probably might get to 95 or 92K today. I don't actually. I don't see that happening today. But overall, the Bitcoin correction is good. It's actually good that BTC is correcting. It gives altcoins a fighting chance, and it would make people to start paying attention to altcoins also. And also, this also presents growth for altcoins. So, just before we round up, if you go back to this time last year, where BTC was around the price it is at right now, fourth quarter last year, you find out that most altcoins are not where they are at right now. Most altcoins were at far lesser prices. Even BNB, for example, was not up to $900. So many altcoins were still way cheaper than they are today. So many, including, I think, even including Litecoin, right? I think so. But so many were still like far cheaper than or way cheaper than they are right now. So I'm expecting, personally, what I'm expecting is once BTC flattens out, we should now start seeing a rally from altcoins. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see Bitcoin start bouncing back to 104K from today to tomorrow. I don't want to see that because if that happens and it starts dumping again back to 92K, it's not really good for altcoins. You just make most altcoins to lose more of their value. Yeah, so that's what I sincerely don't want to see. So someone is asking, what about Ori? I got in at 8.3. Okay, it's for you to check and manage your risk properly. Look at the SL because before you got in, that SL should be something that you're okay with if it hits that SL. So it's for you to decide if you're good with that or not. What's on Ori? I don't understand the question about what's on Ori. Are they launching the LFG again? Yes. They are still launching the LFG token, but the TGE date hasn't been announced. They've dropped a more detailed article on LFG, what LFG is all about, and the new features that they are pushing. But we said this, I think, yesterday, day before yesterday, that one of the major reasons why we believe that they are stalling the TGE date for LFG is because of market condition. No one will want to launch a token in a market that is bearish. Trust me, no one will want to do that. So we said it that one of the major reasons why they are stalling that is because of the market condition. So I think we've already addressed that. So Spencer, I don't know if you have any last words or parting words before we round up.
Well, my parting words will just be let's keep an eye on XRP. I'm not a fan of XRP anyway, but there have been so many news coming out from XRP, so it makes sense to keep an eye, even if you're not buying any token on XRP or on XRP's ecosystem, so that if news or if it starts pumping, you know exactly what's happening with that. So yeah, that's basically what I have to say for today.
All right, thank you guys. So for those trading features, ensure to manage your trades properly. Very, very, very important. If you know that this pattern words, if you know that you're the type that you get very scared of giving back to the market, then once the trade starts moving towards your direction, we've said it severally, adjust your SL to your entry point to break even. So that way, if the trade reverses, it just takes you out, no profit, no loss. It takes you out. If you know it has moved considerably in your favor, you adjust your SL to protect some profit. So that way, if it returns, then you know that you left that trade with some profit. Then should you choose to get back in because the chart is still holding well below your previous entry at a more discounted entry level, should you choose to get back in and you get back and it still goes to hit your stop loss, you know now that you didn't still lose that much money because initially you had pulled out with some money. So that's all we have to say, and see you guys on Monday. Usually we don't hold this live stream on Saturdays and Sundays, so it's Mondays to Fridays. So keep an eye on BTC price action. If it breaks aggressively to 92, 93K, it will most likely destroy most of the altcoins. So you want to keep an eye on that. Thanks, guys, and see you guys on Monday.
Bye, guys.